Hello, a warm welcome to New Vision TV News tonight. My name is Barbara Nyamwiza. We come to you live online and on Urban TV. Before we get our newscast tonight, let's take a quick look at what's in our headlines. In our New Vision TV News tonight, human rights boss dies. Buyende pupils carry sacks for desks to battle the cold and dusty floor. In news around East Africa, Ruto finds direct communication line to voters. And in a special report, Kaggwa's umbrella folds. Hello again. You're welcome to New Vision TV News tonight. My name is Barbara Nyamwiza. We start with news around Uganda, and we start from Kampala here, where the Uganda Human Rights Commission chairperson, Med Kaggwa, has died. His body will be buried tomorrow at his home in Mpigi. He was confirmed dead this morning at 9 a.m. by Case Clinic medics, where he was rushed after he lost consciousness in his car on his way to work. The family says he has been battling pressure. A vigil is going on at his home in Mulago. Many are remembering the deceased as a true activist.
Abadde mukozi nnyo, muweereza nnyo, era atatenguwangako. Namumanya si mubuto bwokka, n'omukulu ng'afuuse professional lawyer. Ate n'atuka okuweerezaamu ebitongole by'eggwanga eby'enjawulo. Bw'obanga obadde muweereza muyabayaba, bali badde tebamwongera bisanja, nga mbadde mulaba. Tujja musaalira nnyo nga member of family, tujja musaalira nnyo nga fellow Ugandan.
Kituyitiriddeko olwaleero nze tubadde tujja mu meeting yaffe wali nga ne tugenda kulaba ku bino ki WhatsApp makulu geetooloola ne tulowooza nti bya bulimbi, kubanga ennaku zino waliwo abalalu bagenda ne balimba ne bateeka omuntu WhatsApp nti afudde. Netugenze okulaba nti ekintu ddala kituufu era kyanaku nnyo. Nze kyanaku nnyo kindumye nnyo kubanga bambi Med Kaggwa tuvudde wala, twasooka kusinkana yali ava mu Revenue Authority ne tusinkana ku Uganda Constitutional Commission eno gye bayita Odochi Commission eno yakola constitution eyaffe eno gye bagezaako okutta busi, era kati ne tugikola wamu, twamala emyaka ena yonna nga tukola wamu, abantu nga twali 20 nga ne tukola constitution ne tugimala. Medi ne tugenda wamu mu CA Constituent Assembly nga delegate ne tukola wamu, eyo bwe twamala ne tugenda mu parliament ne tukola wamu. Katawo bwe twamala nze nkankyali mu parliament ye n'agenda ku East African Legislative Assembly. Kati bwe yavaayo nze ne bwa minisita yabukolako zijjukiro baye yansookayo n'engendayo oluvannyuma, naye yo teyalwawo nnyo, ndowooza yali minisita oba security office of the president, sijjukira bulungi. Naye bwe yavaayo kakati nze by the time yajja kubeera chairperson wa Human Rights Commission, nze byange ne Museveni nga bitabuse nga twawukanye, naye ye n'asigalayo n'akola, era nakutunawo abadde akola. Kyenjagala kwogera ku Jemba Med Kaggwa kwe kugamba nti era mu butuufu abadde Rio Ugandani, akoledde Uganda muri deposition zonna z'amaze ng'akola. Abadde muntu ali very humble, mwetoowoze, simple, ate ng'alina integrity.
Kyanaku nnyo nti Haji Med Kaggwa atufuddeko mu kiseera kino, naddala nga okulonda okwabiri mu gumu nga kubindabinda, kubanga tumanyi bulungi nti eggwanga bwe libanga ligenda mu byakulonda, ebintu ebikwatagana n'eddembe ly'abantu nabyo tubitunuulira nnyo. Haji Med Kaggwa abadde mulwanirizi wa ddembe ly'abantu mu kifo kye nga ssentebe w'akakiiko ka Uganda Human Rights Commission. Naye ng'ogyeko ekyo Med Kaggwa abadde Vice Chairperson owa National Initiative for Civic Education in Uganda. Ekitongole ekyatondebwawo gavumenti ku ntandikwa y'omwaka guno okuyigiriza bannayuganda nga bwe balina okweyisa mu byobufuzi.
Aliso omukulu omunene era kigenda kuba si kyangu nnyo omuntu okujja gugwamu obutereevu, naye abantu abanasoma bikoosi z'akakiiko k'eddembe ly'obuntu Human Rights Commission bajja kutegeera nti abadde ayimira ku kituufu awayetattira muntu ku liiso era abadde avaayo entakera kati okutwala omirimu gye mu maaso kuyimirako ebyo abadde ayimirirako.
As a cross-section of Ugandans commiserating the late Med Kaggwa there. We head to the Eastern District of Buyende now, where Rebecca Kateme returned from school while dirty, and whenever this happened, she would test the wrath of her mother. They were sitting on the floor due to lack of enough desks at her school. Kateme is among the 577 out of 872 learners at Utaswa Primary School, Bugaya Sub-County in Buyende District who sit on the floor as a result of insufficient seats. The 9-year-old primary 3 pupil says her mother improvised the sack after realizing that she would return home dirty. Kateme says the sack is washed once at the weekend. According to Robert Nabwana, the school head teacher, it is only the 295 in the upper classes from primary 5 until primary 7 who share the 59 desks. Whereas the ideal pupil desk ratio stands at 3:1, Butaswa has a different case where 5 learners share the 3-seater desks. We head to the north now and go to Lira, where 4 suspects in connection with the kidnap of a nursery school child in Lira town appeared before Chief Magistrate's Court and were remanded until the 3rd of next month. The suspects, 2 men and 2 females, were remanded to Lira Main Prison and Women Prison, respectively. They are charged with kidnapping and detaining with intent to murder, contrary to Section 243C of the Penal Code Act. Their offence states that on the 25th of October 2019 at Obutowelobi village in the district of Lira, the 4 unlawfully kidnapped or detained Okot Timothy, a male juvenile of 4 years, against his guardian's will with intent to have him murdered. A report available indicates that Timothy Okot, a pupil at Piaget Nursery and Primary School, was kidnapped from his home in Obutowelobi by close neighbors and taken to Akalo in Kole District, where he was kept for 18 days as the kidnappers demanded for a ransom of 27 million shillings. In more news around Uganda, as the East African community celebrates 20 years, the private sector in the region looks to assert itself to realize the guiding principle of the regional economic bloc as a people-centered, private sector-led integration. It is in this light that although the Heads of State Summit has been postponed, the high-level business summit will take place in Arusha come next week. The East African community is one of Africa's fastest growing regional blocs that registered an economic growth of 5.7% in 2018. While there have been milestones achieved, among them the establishment of the Single Customs Territory and One-Stop Border Post, or SBP, which have eased the free movement of persons and goods as well as a trade facilitation, there are still challenges that are yet to be addressed, including the non-tariff barriers, protectionist tendencies by nations, delaying harmonization and domestication of the East African Community agreed decisions and directives. The East African Business Council, EABC, remains in the driving seat as the voice of the private sector in the region and is committed to driving the East African community integration process through high-level private sector dialogue engagement and platforms. the EABC High-Level Business and Investment Summit to discuss the hindrances to businesses in the East African Community region will be held this year, November 28th and 29th in Arusha in Tanzania.
This year, 2019, the East African Community is celebrating 20 years since its revival under the theme of people-centered, private sector-led. It is therefore a moment for all East Africans, especially the private sector, to reflect on how far we have walked the journey of integration. As you are all aware, EAC is one of Africa's fastest growing regional blocs that registered an economic growth of 5.7% as recorded in 2018. While there have been many milestones achieved, among them the establishment of the Single Customs Territory and One-Stop Border Post, OSBP, which have eased the free movement of persons and goods as well as trade facilitation, there are still several challenges that have to be addressed, including the non-tariff barriers, protectionist tendencies by nations, delay in harmonization and domestication of East Africa agreed decisions and directives.
Common advocacy means that we have policy, legislative business, we have regulations across borders that we need, one, to appreciate as private sector, to be able to comprehend, to understand them, and be able to comply with the policies, with the laws across the borders so that we can do business amicably.
You're still watching New Vision TV News. We take a short break now and return briefly. Thank you for staying with us here on New Vision TV News. And we get to news around East Africa now and head to Kenya, where Deputy President William Ruto has decided to take the US President Donald Trump style to engage supporters and counter alleged misinformation. With his political future muddled by the handshake between Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga, Deputy President William Ruto has now adopted a new battlefront in the cyberspace. Increasingly, his postings on social media are turning into being abrasive, a complete departure from his first tweets on the 7th of July in 2011 at 10:32 a.m. when he thundered on the social media platform, oozing nothing but humility and restraint. We get to matters business now with Lynn Komjesha.
In business tonight, Masindi-based Kinyara Sugar Limited has laid off 174 staff, citing tough economic conditions that have increased the cost of doing business. Notably, among other factors affecting the industry at large, is the slow market recovery from the 2017 economic conditions, which greatly increased their production costs, leading to a decline in the business circumstances. Paul Bushalizi joins us tonight to shed more light on this situation.
The Kinyara Sugar Works laying off of people is an issue kind of peculiar to their industry.
Okay.
They mentioned in the explanation of it that they're still recovering from issues of 2017.
What were those issues?
So yes, so what's happening actually, I think it's industry-wide, the sugar industry-wide, sugar industry in total. There have been some disruptions in the industry.
Right.
And some of those disruptions means that the outgrowers are being tempted by other people to sell them sugar cane. So if I remember correctly, for sugarcane to give its ideal in Uganda, for sugarcane to give its ideal sugar content, it has to have grown for 18 months. And so some of these sugar works companies like Kinyara and Kakira and Skol have invested a lot of money in the outgrowers, in raising to this amount, and then they have some contractual obligation with these people. But along the way, other kind of, can you call them pirate companies that have turned up and are actually buying off the sugarcane from these farmers.
Oh.
Now, the challenge is, if the sugarcane has to have, you know, optimal sugar at 18 months, and you sell it, you buy it earlier. So sometimes these factories have been forced to try and buy their own sugarcane earlier than it's matured because they want to beat off those irregular guys. The problem with that is that the sugar content is less in the sugarcane. That means you're going to be using more energy, more sugarcane to produce the same amount of sugar as you are doing if the sugar had matured. So your costs go up. And as a result of that, you know, the market, as Ugandans, we can only buy sugar at a certain price. So that means you have these companies have very limited ability to raise the price.
Right.
So they've had to cut costs elsewhere. I think this is the backlash.
Wow. Are there any other issues affecting the industry apart from
I think that's a major issue, and I think it's there's a law which has gone through Parliament, and I think the President is yet to assent to it. He kind of disagrees with what parliamentarians have passed. The law had initially, among other things, sought to zone off sugar. So you cannot have a factory within, I think it was 50 kilometers of another factory to prevent that kind of pirating of
that's
sugar.
True.
The MPs threw out that clause, and the President doesn't agree with it. So it's a major issue. In Kenya, in Western Kenya, which used to be a big sugar producing area, serviced Uganda in all those bad years, the sugar industry has totally collapsed because of this kind of unregulated sugar maneuvers in the industry. Uganda can very much go down that line, which would be very sad because right now in the region, we are the only country which produces surplus, that we produce more sugar than we consume. We're the only ones. Now, with our shenanigans, we're going to collapse this sugar.
But is the government doing anything?
Well, as is the case with our government, we have a lot of uncoordinated troop movements. One side is pulling this way, one side is pulling the other way. The net effect is, you know, the people on the ground are going to suffer if this thing is not resolved properly.
Oh, well, I think we need to bring it to the attention of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Don't you think? They probably know.
Yeah, the Ministry of Trade is also pulling one way, then everyone else is pulling the other way.
Well, I think they have a lot on their hands. So, but I think that is what's happening, and hopefully we don't see the sugar industry in the country going down like Paul says. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lynn Komjisha. We get to our special report tonight. And as Ugandans prepared to celebrate the World Children's Day today, they were rudely shocked to learn that one of the guests at the main function of the day died on the way. That guest was none other than the chairman of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, Med Kaggwa. The politician turned human rights defender was a lawyer who got reappointed to head the human rights body in February 2016. Kaggwa, who was first appointed in May 2009, was credited for steering the Uganda Human Rights Commission to greater heights, which saw the commission being recognized by the United Nations. During his term, the Uganda Human Rights Commission received a number of awards, including the Best National Human Rights Institution and UHRC in Africa in 2012 in Banjul. Kaggwa held responsibilities at various regional and international human rights organizations such as the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, ACHPR, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or IC, among others. Before he went to head the Rights Commission, he was an advocate. He had earlier, in 1982 to 1984, worked as a legal consultant with a private firm in Kampala, at the same time lectured at the Law Development Center in Kampala. He had served the country in various senior capacities, which included holding the portfolio for the Minister of State in the Office of the President from 1996 until 1998. He also represented Kawempe South in the Constituent Assembly and later represented the same constituency in the 6th Parliament between 1996 and 2001. He moved on to represent Uganda in the IALA, which is the East African Legislative Assembly, between 2001 and 2006. He had also served as a commissioner of the Uganda Constitutional Commission in charge of publicity and chairperson for Kawempe Division, that's under Kampala District, between 1989 and 1991. Kaggwa also served as secretary and head of legal services in the Libyan Arab Foreign Bank from 1984 until 1991, and also as board secretary of the Uganda Revenue Authority URA for 5 years, that's from 1991 until 1996. He was a council member at Makerere University from 1999 until 2002 and the vice chairperson of the Chambege University Council and a member of Senate at the same university in 2004. He holds a Master of Laws degree LLM from the National University of Ireland, UCD Belfield, a Bachelor of Laws degree LLB from Makerere University, and a diploma in legal practice from the Law Development Center, Uganda. Kaggwa's illustrious life ended today morning when he fainted inside his car around the Mulago roundabout in Kampala. Attempts to resuscitate him proved futile as he was pronounced dead at Case Clinic along Buganda Road. The 64-year-old lawyer had on Tuesday taken part in a mock exercise ahead of the 30th anniversary of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, to which Uganda is a signatory. The family reported that he had hypertension. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Yes, indeed, may his soul rest in eternal peace. We get to our local sports now before we sign out tonight. StarTimes Uganda Premier League reigning champions KCCA FC settled for a 1-1 draw in a match against URA FC at StarTimes Stadium Lugogo. Ashraf Mandela scored the only goal for the tax collectors in the early minutes of the first half before Alan Okello equalized with a half volley from the edge of the box on behalf of the hosts in the second half. The 1-1 draw left the reigning champions in the 4th position on the league log with 11 matches played, while URA was left in the 10th position. Mike Mutebi, the head coach of the KCCA FC, said KCCA played one of the best sides in the league and at a point is good enough and it is important to the team. Sam Simbwa, the head coach for the tax collectors, said it was a genuine draw. Well, with this, we come to the end of our newscast tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of our news this evening on New Vision TV. Be sure that you can always join us every weekday from 9 a.m., from 9 p.m. and we come to you live on Facebook on the New Vision page, that is The New Vision, and our YouTube channel at The New Vision, and also our website www.newvision.co.ug. My name is Barbara Nyamwiza. Have a good night.